Look at that, go on. And that's up there, that is on the green, that's going towards the hole. Go in. That, honestly, wow. That's still, I think it's fair to say that these brand new 2024 TaylorMade drivers have been causing quite the stir in the golfing world. Introducing the brand new TaylorMade Qi10 range of drivers. We've seen these in the hands of Rory McIlroy, we've seen these in the hands of no other than Tiger Woods, and now the secret is out that it could be in your hands in 2024. There's 3 drivers in this lineup: the Qi10, the Qi10 Max and the Qi10 LS. I've been testing all 3 of those drivers in today's video, and not only are we going to test this brand new TaylorMade Qi10 range of drivers out on the golf course on some of the most difficult driving holes in the world, we're also going to compare it in here in the studio for ball speed, spin rate, distance against last year's TaylorMade Stealth 2 range to see if you should potentially switch up in 2024, upgrade your TaylorMade Stealth 2 driver into the new range together with that blue face. Oh, check that out. Yes, please. Go on. So you can see here that we've got the TaylorMade Qi10 and the TaylorMade Qi10 LS, 2 fantastic looking drivers. The first thing I'm going to say is I think these look like a breath of fresh air. I wasn't a huge fan of the Stealth or the Stealth 2, and the big talking point realistically is this blue carbon face. This is still a 60 times carbon face, but TaylorMade have actually said it's a lot stronger than last year's. We saw maybe there were a few possible problems with the strength of the TaylorMade carbon face. TaylorMade have addressed that, which is quite interesting. I didn't think they would address it. I thought they'd maybe do it, but not actually say it. So they've made it a little bit more stronger. And for me, I think looking down at this club, it is a stunning looking club. We have that infinity carbon crown, which does cover 97% of the top of the club. That's not just designed to look different, it is designed to allow TaylorMade to optimize mass in different locations. So you will start to see and feel a slightly different driver overall than the Stealth 2. It's not just a Stealth 2 with a blue face. And I straight away really enjoy how this club launches. I've been testing it quite a lot over the last few weeks, and I've not been hitting it out of the centre very often. But for me, I quite like that when testing drives. I quite like not having my A game. I quite like not hitting the centre of that quite nice blue looking face. And I quite like to see how they do perform when you don't hit the centre of that face. So I know what you're all saying, James, why is it called the Qi10 driver? Now the Qi10 Max driver does feature 10,000 inertia, and that is the reason why TaylorMade have gone with Qi Quest for inertia 10,000. I believe there are other drivers on the market claiming to have the same level of inertia, and whilst the standard TaylorMade Qi10 doesn't feature the 10,000 inertia, TaylorMade do claim it features a lot more forgiveness than last year's Stealth 2 driver, which I think is fantastic because we all want that little bit more forgiveness, don't we? The one thing I would recommend with this is do not sleep on the standard Qi10 or the Qi10 Max. We're going to test all of these drivers in the studio in today's video to see just how they do perform for me. And one of the big things I love about the standard Qi10 is not just that infinity crown, but the overall shape, which I think is just looking that little bit more forgiving. You will see the LS version in the hands of Tiger Woods, Rory McIlroy, probably a lot more golfers on tour, but I think you'll see a few of these standard Qi10s as well on tour. I think you'll see the golfer that wants the forgiveness, wants the bigger looking head and wants that overall package. And moving back into the Qi10 LS for just a second, TaylorMade claim this does feature a much lower CG projection than last year's Stealth 2 and a higher MOI level than last year's Stealth 2, so you're kind of winning on all angles there. And I'm not sure which one I would game because I do kind of have a little bit of a sweet spot for this LS model. You can see we do have the adjustable weight in there as well, and while we're down here you can also see we still have the speed pocket, which I think is some of TaylorMade's best technology in their clubs, because if you do hit those low face shots then you generally get just a little bit more forgiveness than if it's not there, which I think is really, really handy, especially when you're teeing the ball high and trying to do this. Oh yes, please. So with that infinity carbon crown, you can imagine that if they just had the black head going into the dark blue face, there wouldn't be a lot of differential between the crown and the face. So you can see we do have that nice kind of white coloured laser etching on the top to differentiate it, and that can also be used to help you line the club up, which I think is really, really nice. It's a nice subtle change and it's a nice little movement, and I really like the fact that you don't have that split top anymore and it's just covered with carbon, which looks absolutely glorious. I love how stealthed out it is on top actually, which is a funny thing to say now they've done away with the stealth name, just a Qi10 logo in on the back there, and as you can see that inertia generator remains from the days of the sim driver. So just as I mentioned earlier, I took this brand new TaylorMade Qi10 driver to one of the hardest tee shots in the world. Let's see how I got on and how the Qi10 performed for me in a shot that I really would not feel comfortable with usually using driver. And this is one of the things I really like about this Qi10. I don't feel scared of it. I don't feel like it might let me down. I feel like if anything, it should potentially work how I want it to on these very, very difficult tee shots. Did I say that I really, really like that top line as well? Ooh. That is on a piece of string. One of the big things that you get from this is just how good it feels off center. All drivers feel good when you get them right out the middle, but when you get this one off center, you actually feel like the driver's helping. You get a sense of forgiveness, and that drive, even though it wasn't out the middle, has finished right up there. And I tested this at TaylorMade's HQ inside, liked the feel of it, liked the sound of it. How did it perform, you ask? Well, for a little first impressions look, we've got a 300-yard hole, bang on the nose. It narrows down right at my driving distance at about 270. Can we get there? It's going to take everything. Looking down at this driver, it looks so much cleaner than the Stealth 2, so much cleaner than anything that's come before it. I love that they've done away with that top line. Nice big high fade. Can we hit the green, guys? We've got 3 balls for a first impression. Really keen to hear how this sounds out here. Look at that, go on. A lot of movement, wasn't the best strike, it was a touch heel. It sounded good, and that's up there. That is on the green, that's going towards the hole. Go in. That, honestly, wow. That's still, and you can see the ball there, right hand side. So this is going to be one of the most in-depth driver reviews I've ever done. And I'm not going to lie, I was a little bit worried for TaylorMade this year because last year the Callaway Paradym was so strong. But that first shot with this, the Qi10 LS, felt so solid, felt so good. It wasn't even struck out the middle. It's gone to the green. You'll see I've actually lofted up here as well because I feel like that's going to help my game. Look at that, must have been close from this angle. Must have been. Tee's over there. Look at that top line. It looks so good, and this is why I want to start filming my first impressions of these clubs, because I've always seen golfers' first impressions of clubs when I used to work in pro shops, when I used to do club fittings, and it's a magical moment. No matter what club it is, you're like, oh, that's the new TaylorMade, give it me and let me have a look at it. That's exactly how I feel today, being the first time out here. So I want to include this in my review, as well as the numbers, as well as the comparisons, as well as everything else. Let's go a bit higher here. Again, it's just not a good strike, but if that gets there, that is astronomical. That one's just on the front edge. That was an even worse strike, but we're there. So I'm really starting to think, even in this LS model, some of this quest for inertia 10,000, which is what Qi10 stands for, might just be seeping into the lower end stuff. Rory's had it in the bag a while, Tiger's had it in the bag. Has Robinson got it in the bag, you ask? Well, there we go. There we go. All over it. All over it. Oh, go on. Oh. Let's get back to the review. Let's see how it performs for numbers. Let's see how it compares to last year's TaylorMade Stealth. And let's get back to the night time, because I'm burning. I can't stay out here much longer. So the real question I am posing here is this the driver that gets TaylorMade back on top in 2024? Because TaylorMade have been known throughout the years of making pretty much the best drivers on the market, the longest drivers on the market, and I personally think Callaway caught them up last year, and this is their reply. So I can't wait to put this up against potentially what might be coming from Callaway. We all know something will be coming in the coming weeks, or is already being released. I'm not too sure at the time of filming, but I think it's a good reply. I think it's a good answer. I think looking down at it, it looks like a fantastic product. I feel like I can play that nice fade into the distance that I have been doing. And I also think the fact that they've let Rory use it early, they've let Tiger seed it early, it's almost causing a little bit of a stir. It's causing a little bit of pre-embargo excitement, you could say, which we haven't had for quite some time. I also think TaylorMade have got the branding spot on when it comes to this new lineup. I think Qi10 is quite an interesting name. I think it tells a great story, especially about the Qi10 Max, which will be fantastic for a lot of golfers. A lot of golfers want that forgiveness. A lot of golfers want to be able to hit it around the face and still hit nice, long, straighter drives. For me, the LS is the better looking of the drivers. I think it looks a little bit better, a little bit sleeker, a little bit nicer. I certainly feel like I can play it as well. I think there will be a lot of people in the market for this Qi10 LS, and I love the fact that they've stayed with the carbon face. They're continuing to tell that story. They're never going to kind of stop telling that story so quickly. I personally think they do believe this is the best material for a driver face, and even if they didn't, I don't think they could change it just yet, because it would almost be like admitting defeat. I think the fact they've strengthened it is fantastic, because the last thing anyone wants with their 500-pound driver is for it to crack on the face. But then we have seen titanium faces crack as well, haven't we? So looking down at it, it really is looking down at it, it really is TaylorMade back to their heyday, back to the days of potentially, what was the best looking TaylorMade driver of recent years? Would you say it was maybe the M3, the M1? They were fantastic looking drivers, and this is the first driver in a long time that hasn't had a split crown, hasn't had a multi-material design on top. Right, we've had two gorgeous fades down this fairway, and I can really start to see exactly why a lot of golfers would potentially try this and have this in the bag for 2024. Guys, let's jump in the studio. Let's see just how this driver does perform against all the drivers in the Qi10 range and against last year's TaylorMade Stealth 2. How much difference will there be, if any? Guys, get in the comments below and let me know. Let's get in there. And the big story here, the big hero club, is of course the TaylorMade Qi10 Max, the quest for inertia 10K Max. It's a really interesting looking club because, as you can see, the weight has moved down to the heel, and it's not necessarily a club that would give me personally the shelf appeal. It is more designed with the huge inertia generator and with that sporadic weighting to the golfer that needs that extra forgiveness, that wants that extra forgiveness. And whilst for me it's not necessarily designed for a player like myself, or maybe even a low handicap golfer, if you look at the results from even the slow-mo camera footage of a non-10K driver and a 10K driver being hit from off-centre, it's quite remarkable, and I do take my hat off to TaylorMade for that. Also, looking down at the ball from address with the Qi10 Max, I think they've done a really good job of masking just how big and friendly this driver potentially is. It's going to fill you with confidence, but it's not necessarily going to make you feel like you can't hit it because it's too big and cumbersome, which I think a lot of drivers potentially could do. You can see there, that's a nice high spinning ball flight. It's not going to be as far as potentially some of the drivers that I'm going to be testing this year, but for me, I think a lot of golfers shouldn't necessarily shy away from this, because you never know when you're going to need 10,000 inertia. You know what, I could get used to that. Carbon copies. Yes, please. And one of the big things I wanted to do here was test the new Qi10 against last year's Stealth 2, because last year's Stealth 2 was a little bit of an anomaly for me. I couldn't really get it working as I wanted to. I could never really hit too many fairways with it, but I did really enjoy the feel of this carbon face again. And for me, I must admit, in testing this Qi10 LS version in particular, I do certainly feel like with the mishits, I'm getting that little bit more. I'm feeling that more inside than I was out on the golf course, but when looking at numbers, even out the toe there, I really feel like it's maintaining ball speed for me. The spin rate isn't dipping too much. I'm still getting a nice flight, which for me is really important, especially with this new second or even third generation of carbon face. I also think it's really interesting and positive that TaylorMade have stuck with the carbon face, because I think if they would have retreated with that and gone back to a titanium face maybe, then they would have been made to look a little bit silly. But they clearly believe this is the way forward for speed and forgiveness. And that's the best one yet. That felt absolutely gorgeous. The new face actually feels totally different to the old one, which I can't quite get my head round. But even for a mishit there, I'm getting 163 mile an hour ball speed. Yes. And that certainly is one of the interesting factors about this driver, because I almost seem to get more ball speed on the off-centre hits. I got quite a couple of really good shots here, but also a couple of what I felt like were really bad shots, but then just a very, very, very enjoyable driver. Oh, 163.3. And as you can see, those ball speeds unfortunately didn't last throughout the test, but very similar ball speeds throughout the Qi10 Max and the LS and the Stealth 2 Plus. Big differences I found were the spin rates, and as you can see, apart from the Qi10 Max, both these drivers perform very similarly. I don't think it's going to be a huge game changer for people who are fitted properly into a TaylorMade Stealth 2 Plus, but I certainly think if you've got an older generation driver, maybe this could be one to have on your list if you're looking for a new one in 2024. So when all is said and done, what are my honest opinions on the brand new TaylorMade Qi10 range of drivers? This has been one of the most in-depth driver tests I've ever done. To be honest, I've really enjoyed it. I hope you guys have enjoyed the slightly different style of review that I am doing moving forward. I've hit it loads of different times on loads of different courses, loads of different testing shots. I'm impressed with it. How will it stand up to the latest and greatest from Callaway? How will it stand up for Cobra's new driver and all the other ones that will be coming out this month? Only time will tell, but I personally feel like TaylorMade are seeing this as a step in the right direction. They're going down the route of forgiveness, they're going down the route of helping the everyday golfer, and I think that is very, very commendable. And I certainly think it will help a lot of golfers moving forward. Guys, do me a favour, get in the comments, what are your thoughts on the brand new TaylorMade Qi10 range of drivers? If you've enjoyed that, smash that subscribe button. Thank you so much for your time, I really do appreciate it. If you have enjoyed it, make sure you invite a friend over to watch this review, and apart from that, I'll see you all at exactly the same time tomorrow, or I probably won't, it might be later or earlier because this was an embargoed video. Goodbye.